Hello everyone, I'm ready to start recording on my brand new phone, which hopefully records a lot longer than just 13-minute little increments, and hopefully the sound quality is good because I don't have a microphone for it yet, so I'm just rolling with the regular microphone it came with. But I'd like to continue to read the Redemption Manual where we left off, which is, let's see, I'll move this out of the way. I was reading about the Matrix movies. I read the first one and the second one, and now I'm on the third movie. This one's really long, so I'm hoping that I have time to read it without the little baby boy waking up, and that the phone records for long enough. But I'm gonna have to keep glancing up and making sure that it's still recording. So without further ado, here we go. Movie Review, the third movie of the trilogy, Matrix Revolutions, by Jack Smith. Note words in brackets are those of Robert Kelly / The American's Bulletin. The movie series on the Matrix is a backward history of the United States and a history of true Israel, not the de facto democracy in the Middle East. Matrix Revolution ends with the proposed Constitution of the United States of America in 1787. Matrix, the first movie, begins in present times. The story is a cycle of history repeated over and over again by a people who do not get it right. All communication is based upon symbolism. Every war is won by communication. If you are not enjoying the war, in parentheses it says everyday life in a democracy, you are not understanding or getting the code and are not receiving the true message sent in everyday communications by code. There is a war going on out there. There has always been a war going on out there. The object of war is to restore honor to commercial dealings between foreign entities so there can be a lasting peace. But where there is no honor, there can be no peace. That is such a powerful message, because when you really start researching a lot of this law information, you'll find out real soon just how important this honor system is. You'd be surprised. It's all about honor. Every bit of it is about honor. So I really like that. Let's continue. In the movie The Matrix 1, Neo learned that there was a secret war going on between the machine world of the Matrix and a number of people who called themselves Zion, who believed themselves to be separate and apart from the machine world of the Matrix. The Matrix was a system that warehoused living beings in a coma-like state. It harvested their thermal, chemical, and biological energy to supply power to run the machine world. The living beings in the Matrix were fed neurological impulses to their brains that gave these beings the simulation of a normal life of a living man. By these computer-generated memories, these living beings perceived themselves to exist in a life involving family, neighborhoods, nations, work environments, and personal relationships. At no time did the living beings in the coma-like state have a clue that they were not leading a real life of choice. The people of Zion, however, believed that they had been disconnected from the Matrix. They dwelled in a city called Zion, buried deep in the core of the earth, to protect the inhabitants from the attacks of the machine world of the Matrix. These people of Zion believed that they were free of the control of the Matrix, while understanding that they were at war with the machines from the world. There were a few people of Zion that sprung Neo from the control of the Matrix in the first movie. They believed that Neo might be a living being who would have extraordinary powers to bring freedom and peace to the people of Zion, and to those souls in the Matrix still trapped by the machines. Matrix Reloaded. In the second movie, The Matrix Reloaded, Neo learns that the fate of the people of Zion is not independent of the persons in the Matrix or the machine world that controls the Matrix. To the contrary, Neo learns that the controllers of the Matrix have dealt with previous rebellions by people who had separated themselves from the Matrix, just like the people of Zion, and had attempted to defeat the Matrix. The current attempt by Neo and the people of Zion to defeat the machines from the Matrix is chronicled as the sixth rebellion against the Matrix. All previous rebellions had resulted in defeat and annihilation of the people outside the Matrix by the machines from the Matrix. After defeat, the Matrix restarts the outside world, or the so-called enemies of the Matrix. The people of Zion are controlled by the controllers of the Matrix and allowed only so much latitude at freedom before they are reined in. At the end of the second movie, the machines of the Matrix are starting an attack on the people of Zion by burrowing with tunneling machines into the core of the earth to reach the city of Zion with the intent of destroying the people of Zion. The people of Zion are attempting to prepare defenses against the impending machine attack. Into this plot of warfare between the people of Zion and the machines of the Matrix is tossed a man named Neo. Some believe that Neo is a special soul that might possess the capacity to resolve the conflict between the machine world and mankind by bringing peace. Those who held this belief were a select minority and included Morpheus from the people of Zion, and an important computer program named the Oracle from the machine world of the Matrix. In Matrix Reloaded, two important entities from the Matrix, the Architect and the Oracle, had informed Neo that the people of Zion and the Matrix were a symbiotic society where one entity could not exist without the other at the present time. Their futures were indelibly intertwined with each other. They would either go into the future together or there would be no future. Next chapter is Symbolism in Communication. All Hollywood movies are parables. They describe the current reality in this world and code it in terms of mythical persons, places, events, and things. In Scripture, the Messiah also taught about his kingdom, the world, in contradistinction to this world, in terms of parables. Once the Messiah was asked why he taught in parables. His response was so that the common man would not know what he was teaching. Only the elect would understand, or the special few. Hollywood movies are parables which teach the truth and reality in such a way that the common man will not understand the lessons and the information that is being given. By understanding the Scripture or the Hollywood movies, you will understand what is going on in the law of this world and will begin to understand your remedy to get free of the slavery and tyranny that you have entrapped yourself into. But in the Scripture, the Messiah went on to say that the elect will understand the meaning of the parables because, for them, they will understand the code and will understand the meaning of the communication and lesson being taught. I humbly beseech you, brethren, those of you who have eyes to see, ears to hear, and are members of the elect, to listen up. The story of the parable in the 3 Matrix movies is a plan of salvation and redemption from the ravages of the Matrix wars, or how to resolve your personal problems in this world. In every parable, it is first reasonable to understand who the characters represent. It is also necessary to understand how the characters' actions have created a cause and effect relationship to the events of the story. As to relationships, the Matrix is this world, or an artificial world in contradistinction to the world, which is real and a creation of nature and nature's God or deity. The artificial world is de facto or colorable, while the real world is de jure or black and white. The Matrix is the system of Babylonian government, commerce, politics, and military that operates in the background and superimposes itself over the living people to control the energy given off by the living people, presumably for the personal benefit of the powers behind the Babylonian government. The system operates off the commercial energy of the living people who are harnessed by way of alter ego corporations called strawmen. These strawmen are created by the Babylonian government upon the birth of each living soul and named after the living soul. The only distinction is that the living soul's name is spelled according to the proper English rules in upper and lower case letters. The strawman corporation names are spelled in all capital letters, like other artificial and dead things. All commercial enterprise by living souls are performed through their corporate entities or strawmen as frontmen. Since the government has the highest legal title to these strawmen, all commercial activity is presumed to be controlled by Babylon and hence taxed to Babylon. It is by this mechanism that the Babylonian system draws out the commercial energy of every living soul. Therefore, the people tied up in the Matrix are representative of the strawmen, who politically are known as 14th Amendment persons, or fictions created by government to replace living souls in the government political body. In a proper world, or the world, mankind or living people are in control. This fundamental law is based upon the laws of nature or the law of the land. In this world, the foundational basis for who is in control is the law of the sea or admiralty. It is a system constructed of trusts instead of principals who are acting in their own self-interest. A nation in the world whose laws are based upon the law of the land can be ruled as a republic. A nation in this world whose laws are based upon the law of the sea is usually ruled as a democracy. The story in the Matrix trilogy deals with a system which progresses from a democracy to a republic. This is a mirror image to the history of the United States, which has progressed from a republic in 1787 to a democracy in 2003 when this movie came out. A democracy is also a nation which is led by the military under emergency rules behind a front of civilian rule to confuse the populace as to the true nature of what is happening. In a democracy, the rights and needs of the individual must be subjugated to the needs and wants of the whole. There is no individual liberty per se. The military, political, commercial system is operated under the Admiralty maritime rules of contribution and the presumption of joint tort feasors. In the Matrix trilogy, the lives of the people are not paramount. They have been warehoused in facilities where liberty, freedom, and independent action are non-existent for the average inhabitant who does not even understand that his life is an illusion, that he is programmed to feed the war machine. At the same time, the average inhabitant is mentally deluded into believing his whole life is one of a normal, free, and independent inhabitant of a modern society exercising free will. This is done by instilling mental unawareness into the being, or else controlled rebellion into others. In modern society, it is done chemically by drugs or alcohol, or it is done commercially by withdrawing the desire or means of successful fulfillment, exporting productive jobs from the society, or it is done politically by providing controlled candidates which offer no change in the makeup of the system, or it is done psychologically by instilling cognitive dissonance into the population. In short, the tools of modern society are used to enslave living souls, in parentheses it says death, as opposed to providing life and providing it more abundantly. In brackets it says, have you been deceived into feeding the war machine? I think we all have. Occasionally, one inhabitant of the Matrix breaks free of his programming and sees a larger picture. These people are the ones who take the red pill and are presumably physically independent of the social programming of the Matrix. These people have collected together in a society called the people of Zion. Today, in the present world, we might call these people patriots. They have a lot of different names they use. Symbolism in the Matrix trilogy. It is not a coincidence that Zion is the name of a mountain in the Old Testament of Scripture, representing the children of Israel. The children of Israel gathered to become a nation and received their law from the Creator when the children of Israel were led out of slavery in Egypt. So the Matrix is a metaphor for Egyptian slavery. The people of Zion in the movie were a metaphor for ex-slaves led to their freedom by the Creator to create and start a republic nation of their own. A republic is a form of government based upon liberty and freedom, which requires knowledge and wisdom of the inhabitants to self-rule under concepts of honor and responsibility. This is in direct opposition to rule by the dictates of a commercial military-industrial complex, based upon policies and police regulations, which assume inhabitants are incapable of treating one another with honor and respect without supervision and discipline. It is also not a coincidence that the symbols used in the Matrix parable are mirror images, or backwards to reality in meaning and time. The people of Zion, who are supposed to be alive and free, are buried deep in the ground in the city of Zion, as though they were dead corpses. The quote-unquote so-called dead people living in the Matrix, in a condition of a coma, are warehoused on the surface of the planet, as though they were alive and mobile. The surface of the planet is smoky and dreary. The sun never shines, but appears dead. The city of Zion is alive with activity, but lit by artificial light. The people in the Matrix are programmed to be happy and without a care in the world, but they have no independent thought or ability to affect change on their commercial and political system. The people of Zion are always apprehensive about the war and struggling to survive. They have the capacity to effect change and also must exercise discretion and elect responsibility. In today's world, the people of the Matrix are the 99.99% of the people who live with their heads in the sand and have no clue as to what is going on. They are programmed by the talking heads, the boob tube, and other public sources of information, including the public fool system. They can carry on an allegedly articulate conversation about persons, places, and events while never knowing or explaining any cause and effect relationships that exist in the world or this world. In the words of the Merovingian from Matrix Reloaded, they do not understand the why, therefore they are slaves. The people of Zion in today's world are, for the most part, the patriots, rebels, and yes, in some cases, terrorists. Or at least they may shortly be prosecuted politically for being terrorists. These people are outside the Matrix, so to speak, even though the Matrix still exercises control over them. These patriots are mostly at war with the Matrix and falsely believe that their involvement in this war will bring about change that will correct the problems with the Matrix and the Matrix's relationship with them. About 99.99% of the people of Zion live to destroy the Matrix and what it symbolizes. It appears as though the Matrix is out to destroy the people of Zion. There is constant warfare. Those who do not notice that a democracy is in fact a controlled war zone of combatants are all the more deceived by this world. Looks can be deceiving to those who do not see or do not hear. We learned in Matrix Reloaded that the Matrix is not out to completely destroy the people of Zion. In fact, the Matrix is charged with restarting the people of Zion every time Zion is destroyed. Think of this program as a social urban renewal program, where an old, socially archaic people of Zion must be upgraded to a new, more commercially competitive people of Zion. After all, the Matrix sees the people of Zion as a manufactured enemy to the Matrix, used to instill commercial competition into the Matrix to maximize the commercial benefits to the Matrix. So every now and then, the Matrix exterminates the old society of independents who think they are free and restarts the new urban renewal society with better stock and blood to give the appearance of a better enemy, which instills more competition into the Matrix world. This world is just like the Matrix model. It is just like the United States of America, which cannot continue as a democracy without having some permanent enemy at which the democracy is always at war. The Matrix is a symbiotic society. The Matrix cannot survive without an alter ego in the people of Zion. Likewise, the people of Zion have never had the ability to destroy the Matrix. Scripture states the same theme, that the people of Zion and the Matrix are joined together in a short-term common future. Scripture says that for a time the wheat and the tares must grow together in the field and not be separated. To pull up the tares, which would be the machine world of the Matrix, would cause death to many wheat people, the people of Zion and the sleeping people in the Matrix. So they should exist together. The only two reasons that the Matrix has to destroy the people of Zion is to prevent the people of Zion from getting too strong so that they would physically threaten to overthrow the control exerted on them by the Matrix, and two, the Matrix restarts the society with better genetic stock from time to time to create better competition with the Matrix to help maximize or perfect commerce. The 6 restarted systems of Zion could well refer to the servants under the international world governments represented by 1, the Egyptians, 2, the Syrians, 3, the Babylonians, 4, the Medes and Persians, 5, the Greeks, and 6, the Romans, of which our current system of one world government is merely an extension of the Roman world government. For example, Roman civil law, Roman calendar, and Roman universal church. Nothing new under the sun. Next chapter is The Remedy Lies Outside of Zion, or the Matrix. It is a fact. There were good entities existing as programs in the Matrix, and there were evil entities existing as programs in the Matrix. There were also good living souls amongst the people of Zion, and there were very bad living souls amongst the people of Zion. A condition of being good did not necessarily provide any remedy to mankind from the war which existed between the Matrix and the people of Zion. There was no remedy in fighting a continuous war. One's remedy is always in the peace that ensues after the war. Getting to this peace and making the condition of peace productive by one's actions is the issue. Go to peace rather than going to war. There are 4 types of living souls. 1, ostriches with their heads in the sand or their bodies in the matrix, not knowing what is going on or why it is happening. This is the most numerous type of living soul in this world. 2, people who wake up and discover that this world is not operating correctly the way it should to bring life to the people and to bring it to them more abundantly. The people in group 2 are classic patriots, but they could just as well be people who have studied medicine, religion, politics, education, recorded history, or any other profession or discipline. Anyone who studies what is going on in this world by the professions or the societies knows that they have got it wrong and are creating death and not life. How about the family planners in modern society as an example, who use abortion to spread life? The people of Zion in the Matrix trilogy are firmly in this group too. They believe that the only solution to the perceived problem that the Matrix is screwed up and doing everything backwards for the benefit of living souls is war to the death of everyone in the Matrix. Group 2's classic remedy is to destroy their enemies. The ones who are doing this are thinking backwards. Group 2 believes that when they defeat everyone else who is wrong, then things will work well for the people in Group 2. When the whole world changes to my way, then things will be better and I can be happy. This is their motto. But is it realistic that the whole world will change or must change in order for one to become happy? The 3rd type of people are those who realize that one's happiness and well-being is not derived from changing the whole world to one's way of thinking. Happiness is derived by changing your way of thinking so that it creates a better world for you to live in. This is realistic. You can change yourself. You cannot change anyone else who does not see the light and want to change themselves. There were a few characters in the Matrix movie series that would be classified as Group 3 thinkers. They believe in a remedy other than war. They include Neo, Morpheus, Trinity, the Oracle, Niobe, played by Jada Pinkett Smith, and the head of the Council for the People of Zion. Do you believe in a remedy other than war? Next chapter, Resolving a War in Matrix Revolution. It is not rational to structure your society on habitual warfare, but this is exactly what a democracy is. The ultimate cause and effect riddle or question that one can pose is, how do you bring a society that is at constant warfare to peace? The ultimate underlying cause is commercial debt. Commercial debt causes all war. To end war, one must either make arrangements to end the debt liability of the debtor side of the war by discharge, forgiveness, or as an operation of law, or else the creditor must be offered some concession which would end the war by offering something that is more desirable than the collection of the debt. In the story of Matrix Revolution, the age-old war between the Matrix and the people of Zion is ended by one of these causes. The cause of the war that plagues the people of Zion and the Matrix is not set forth in the story of any of the trilogy movies. The cause of the war was studied in an extra set of stories set forth artistically in the DVD The Animatrix. The Animatrix tells 9 short stories dealing with collateral issues involving the Matrix and the people of Zion. In the story The Second Renaissance, Part 2, the events which led up to the war between the people and the machines are told. The war started when machines wanted representation in government. The machines felt that they contributed to commerce and needed representation. Most of the people believed that the machines should not have political representation. People started to rebel against machines by destroying them. The machines defended themselves and attacked the people for self-protection. As the machines got the upper hand, they subdued the people and placed them into servitude. The cause of the war was the dishonor of the people in not accepting the machine's draft request to have representation in commercial government. The non-acceptance by the people made the people the commercial debtors to the machines, who became the commercial creditors. In commerce, a debtor cannot win, a creditor cannot lose. In today's world, the patriots are upset at the 14th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. This amendment changed the representation of the citizenry of the political and commercial government. Under the 14th Amendment, artificial things are now citizens of the government instead of real people. An artificial thing, a machine if you will, could well be defined to be a machine or an entity that performs without civil or commercial life. The 14th Amendment person is a perfect definition of a machine. So when the patriots fight the 14th Amendment and its definition of an artificial entity as a citizen, the patriots are dishonoring the one world government's draft request for commercial representation for fictions. This makes the one world government, or the matrix, the creditor, and the patriot the commercial debtor by dishonor. This creates a commercial warfare, which is exactly what we have in today's society. This is why the people who act as persons are described as the commercial enemies in the Trading with the Enemy Act that was passed in the First World War as a protection from enemies and updated in 1933 under the New Deal, when the United States government had to call upon the states to help defray the debt, and the persons citizens of the United States became the enemies of the all-capital United States government by decree of President Roosevelt. If one followed the character of Neo in the Matrix trilogy, Neo evolves from Group 1 to Group 2 and finally to Group 3. Neo starts out as an ostrich with his head in the sand. In the first movie, he is awakened by Morpheus and becomes a patriot rebel in Group 2. In the second movie, Neo learns that it might not be possible to obtain a military victory over the Matrix. By the time Neo is seen in the third Matrix movie, he is convinced that he must change his perspective in order to provide a remedy to go to peace. He is now in Group 3. Are you? Will you want to go to peace? Notice Neo's character in Matrix Reloaded. He does not get involved in fighting an offensive war against the Matrix. In fact, the only time Neo uses force at all is to defend himself against physical attack by Agent Smith or from characters in the Matrix which attack him. He protects his life and the lives of others without going on the offensive. The public critics of the Matrix trilogy complain that Neo's character shows little or no emotion. Why should his character? Neo is seeking knowledge and wisdom as to cause and effect of relationships. In the immortal words of the Merovingian, Neo truly wants to understand the why. Neo wants to serve the people of Zion and Trinity, whom he loves. Neo is not seeking self-gratification by fulfilling emotional needs, nor does Neo act as a direct and proximate result of purely emotional pressure. In Matrix Reloaded, we learn that both Neo and Agent Smith have been decoupled from the control of the Matrix. Agent Smith is no longer a program executing within the mainframe of the Matrix. Both Agent Smith and Neo are gaining personal energy and ability now that they are not feeding energy to the Matrix. There is a vast difference in the characters of these two entities. Neo has learned love and service above self. Neo does not work for consideration from the other party. Agent Smith is a Satan to Neo. A Satan is defined as an adversary, or one who opposes you. Agent Smith is applying all his energy toward destroying Neo and all that is good. Since they are both decoupled from the Matrix, they both possess free will to live their lives as they choose, unbridled by the constraints of the Matrix controllers and its social programming. Neo seeks life, Agent Smith seeks death, peace and war. In Matrix Revolution, the people of Zion are fighting a war against the superior force of the machines. In this war, the people of Zion can only hope to survive, but by all odds, they will lose. The Zion Military Command puts their faith in implements of war and their manpower to use them. No military strategy is based upon using outside plans or programs to stop the war. Only a few living souls within the people of Zion have any outside faith in the belief that Morpheus has, that the road to peace is somehow dependent upon Neo, and what he might be able to accomplish in some way outside the scope of the military. Next chapter, symbolism in the city of Zion. The ultimate stronghold of the people of Zion was their city deep in the earth. It had an outer receiving dock, an inner city, and finally a temple where the people of Zion worshipped. The military plan was to first protect the dock. If it was breached, they would fight in the city. If the city was lost, the last defense would be the temple. The approach to the temple was a narrow passage where the machines could not overpower the people with their might because of the close confines of the passage. Isn't it just like these people of Zion to get it backwards? Instead of using the temple as their last defense against their enemy, should they not have relied upon their Creator and their spiritual temple as a first defense to help defend them? Should not the temple have been the origin of their first efforts instead of their last? Also, if the people of Zion believed that the temple was a physical place where their Creator would gather with them, they were wrong. The true temple is a place within us where the Creator dwells in our hearts. Without the understanding that the Creator dwells in you, they were seeking an ultimate place of refuge external to their being, which is only a de facto fiction. Neo realized that the way to peace was not to run away from or fight with one's enemy, but to go to one's enemy and make of him a friend by writing a peace treaty that will end the war and give each party a new beginning. In a world at war, one does not create peace by fighting one's enemy, but by negotiating a peace treaty in which both parties receive just consideration and an overwhelming logical reason to offer concessions that will end the war. After all, isn't the purpose of all warfare to end dishonor, adjust the wrongs, and bring back a condition of peace? Isn't that what the movie Saving Private Ryan was all about? It was about Ryan being sent home to the private world of civilian peace and prosperity, not the military man, Private Ryan, continuing into an ongoing war which would bring death and not life. In the case of Matrix Revolution, Neo and Agent Smith are alter egos. Neo and Agent Smith are the same coin, two different sides. Agent Smith is the bad Adam. Neo is the good Adam. In the language of Paul in the New Testament, Neo is the spiritual man. Agent Smith is the fleshly man. Scripture says that to live, the spiritual man must kill the fleshly man. If you do not give up your life, you cannot save your life. Post-Matrix Reloaded, Agent Smith and Neo have become joined in their DNA and become alter egos of the same entity. The Oracle, in one of her discussions with Neo in Matrix Revolution, has alluded to this. She tells Neo that both personas cannot continue to exist. Agent Smith has become a problem for the people of Zion. He is as formidable an enemy as the machines. Worse yet, Agent Smith is a threat to the Matrix since he is gaining power and is no longer controlled by the Matrix. Although Neo only exists for love and service, Agent Smith would destroy Neo, Trinity, the people of Zion, and then would turn to the Matrix. His hatred knew no bounds. Notice that the Matrix had control over the people of Zion, notwithstanding the fact that the people of Zion were not physically in the Matrix. The Matrix computers could track all the people of Zion. It was only Neo and Agent Smith that became invisible to the Matrix computer. Even the monitors on the vessels belonging to the people of Zion that could tap into the Matrix computers could not pick up and locate Neo or Agent Smith anymore, even when Neo was aboard the vessel. Neo's dedication to and desire to serve the people convinced him that he had an opportunity to bring about a negotiated peace treaty with the Matrix. Agent Smith was converting programs from the Matrix into Smith clones. Agent Smith was even converting some of the people of Zion into Smith clones. Smith was creating a replicant army, a private independent army from both the Matrix and the people of Zion that were not loyal to anyone except Agent Smith. If Smith was not stopped soon, his private army might take over this world. Neo realized that he could not defeat Agent Smith in a one-on-one battle. They both possessed equal levels of power and energy. However, Neo devised a strategy guaranteed to defeat Agent Smith based upon Agent Smith's ego and hatred. Neo went to his enemy, the Machine City in the Matrix, to negotiate a peace treaty between the people of Zion and the Matrix. Neo did not have the approval of the people of Zion, nor its governing council, to carry out the peace mission. Neo was not invited by the machines to come to a peace treaty negotiation. What Neo did have was honor, logic, and consideration that could not be refused by either the machines or the people of Zion. Neo did not ask the machine world to give up anything. Neo took on all liability and responsibility in the plan to end the war by settling and closing the matter between the machines and the people of Zion. There was no risk to the machines, only the potential for gain. In any peace treaty, consideration must be offered as a means of persuasion to both parties to adopt concessions necessary for peace. The people of Zion were being physically defeated. No concession was offered to them except their own lives by ending the conflict. The machine world, or the world of commerce, had a problem offering persuasive consideration that could not be refused. Neither Neo nor Agent Smith was under the control of Zion. In today's world, this would be equivalent to a patriot who had learned how to be outside the system and not be under the legal control of the one world government. Knowledge to achieve this goal could be conceived to be a direct threat to the one world government system of universal control if the one who possessed this knowledge did not possess the character trait of honor. What if a person outside the control of government was a terrorist bent on destruction, such as Agent Smith? Would an all-powerful Agent Smith outside the control of government worry the system? You bet. What if such men were not terrorists or at war? Would there be need to worry? No. Neo proposed to the machine world that if Neo would neutralize Agent Smith so that Agent Smith could pose no threat to the Matrix, would the Matrix in return stop the war against the people of Zion and allow the people of Zion to exist in harmony with the Matrix? It was further proposed that those within the Matrix who wanted to leave and join the people of Zion be allowed to exit the Matrix peacefully. Isn't the proposed peace treaty between the people of Zion and the Matrix an embellishment of the second, 13th article and amendment to the Constitution of the United States? There shall be no involuntary servitude. Aren't the people lodged in the Matrix the artificial 14th Amendment persons who are not living souls? If the people want to come out of the Matrix so that they do not have to serve as slaves, will they not gain the capacity of living people again? Can you see how the Matrix movie trilogy is a restatement of the history of the United States? Wasn't the peace treaty with England in the 1780s, after the Revolutionary War, a grant of ability of living souls to emerge from the Matrix government-style system England had superimposed on the living souls of the colonies? The only problem that Neo had in fulfilling his offer to remove Smith as an adversary to the machine world was how to carry out the task. Neo was incapable of physically defeating Agent Smith in a battle. Chapter You and Your Enemy. An enemy is an alter ego. When one fights a fiction or alter ego, it makes the fiction stronger. The way to defeat a fiction is to stop warring against it. Become one with your enemy or the fiction. Let your enemy possess you and take you over. Since he is a fiction, he cannot defeat you when you do not give him energy by fighting him. The Oracle tells Neo that Agent Smith is Neo. He is Neo's opposite. The Oracle tells Neo that within 24 hours, in one way or another, the problems would be resolved. Neo is to Agent Smith as the people of Zion were to the Matrix machines. Neo seeks life, Agent Smith seeks death. The people of Zion are living, the machines are dead. If Neo resolves the conflict with Agent Smith, peace will prevail, and the machine world will end their conflict with the people of Zion. If, on the other hand, Agent Smith prevails against Neo, the people of Zion will be exterminated by their alter ego, the dead machines. The choice every living soul has in this world is, do you choose to side with that which gives life, or do you choose death? Next chapter is titled, Man Wrestles Not with Himself, but with God who is in us. In Scripture, the most famous Old Testament fight was the battle between Jacob and his adversary at Peniel. Jacob wrestled with him all night. Jacob was physically defeated. It was only when Jacob stopped wrestling with his adversary that he realized that he could win. In fact, Jacob learned that he was wrestling with the Creator, who appeared to Jacob as Jacob's enemy. When Jacob stopped wrestling, the Creator praised him and renamed him Israel. This name means God rules. The Creator always tests us by bringing us an enemy to see if we will allow our enemy to give us a remedy by being at peace with him, or whether we will war against our enemy and be denied our remedy. One's enemies are always sent to you by the Creator as a test. The name Israel is not a name that belongs to a nation or to a race or a religion. It is a name of honor that is bestowed upon those who learn the lesson of serving and remaining at peace with those who might appear to be your enemy. Neo's remedy to neutralize Agent Smith's possible threat against the Matrix, the people of Zion, and the machine world was to allow the machine world to plug Neo back into the Matrix. By this act, the machine world and the Matrix would again have control over Neo. Neo devised a very simple strategy to defeat Agent Smith. He would fight Agent Smith as though Neo was trying to win. Then Neo would allow Agent Smith to defeat Neo and possess his body. When they would become one with each other in Agent Smith's victory, the machine world would shut down the Neo program running in the Matrix. This would also shut down Agent Smith, whose DNA, being joined with Neo's, would perish. Remember, die in the Matrix and you die in the real world. Think of the metaphor that Hollywood is describing here. Neo is a form of the Messiah. He came into this, not the world, the Matrix, free and independent of the constraints and control of this world, the Matrix. However, the Messiah, as did Neo, allowed himself to be placed under the control of this world as a man of flesh instead of a man of spirit. As a man of flesh, the Messiah died in the flesh. Neo was deleted as a program in the Matrix, while voluntarily subjecting himself to the world of the Matrix. In the real world, the Messiah destroyed the man of sin, or the man of flesh that is at war with the man of the true spirit. As such, the Messiah conquered death. Remember, to live, one must first die and be reborn in the spirit. In the movie, Neo placed himself in the flesh, back into the Matrix, or he became united as one with his adversary, as Satan is an adversary, Agent Smith. Agent Smith was indeed a Satan in that he was interested in being the king over the dead instead of the king over the living. Public government today is a kingship over the dead, just like the Matrix was a system of political rule over the civilly dead. Neo defeated Agent Smith by acceptance of Agent Smith's war against Neo to defeat him. It was in this act of allowing Neo's enemy to defeat him that allowed Neo to win by not resisting. Likewise, neither Neo nor the Messiah died to save themselves. They allowed the enemy, death, to take them so that they would be set free, as well as securing the freedom of their brothers from the adversary. Also, neither in the movie nor in real life did the people of Zion ask Neo or the Messiah to carry out their acts of redemption in their behalf. The acts of Neo and the Messiah were both free acts of love and totally non-commercial. In Scripture, it is said that by one man, the first Adam, sin entered into the world, and death by sin. In a mirror image to this, Paul in the New Testament said that by one man, the Messiah, or the second Adam, the remedy to obtain redemption and salvation from sin also entered into the world. In the first Matrix movie, Neo first met the agents of the people of Zion at a place called the Adam Street Bridge. This bridge was a link from the first Adam to the second Adam. There is a double witness to the redemption by Neo of the people of Zion and the Matrix. When Neo is possessed by Agent Smith and they are being de-resed by the Matrix, Neo makes a statement. He says, "It is done." One gets the second witness by the machine world when the head machine states, "It is done." Is this anything like the words that came from the cross in John 19:30? Is it finished? You see, a military society is also an ecclesiastical society. In order to stop the democracy and turn it back into a republic, it takes a sacrifice or a redemption. Is there any wonder why this world is not too happy with those people who speak of the process of redemption today? In the closing scene of Matrix Revolution, we have 4 entities in the scene. The number 4 represents the things of the world. There is 1 animal, 2 persons from the Matrix, and 1 living soul. The scene opens by looking out on a city street of the surface of the planet. A young girl wakes up from a sleep on the sidewalk as though she were a bag person or homeless individual. A cat walks the street toward her. As the cat moves toward her, there is a ripple vertically that moves through the visual scene. The ripple starts in the location of the cat and moves line by line rapidly from left screen to right screen. As the visual scene ripples, the green hue of the old world takes on the true colors of a real world. It is a sign that the old world controlled by the Matrix and the machines has transitioned into a real world where the surface of the planet again belongs to the living. The sky is blue again instead of darkened with smoke and pollution. The sun is rising in the east. The scene shifts to a park in the city where the Oracle is seated on a park bench with the figure of the architect of the Matrix walking toward her. The cat represents nature. By the ripple starting through the cat has just been reborn into one of its 9 lives. In other words, the cycle starts over again. The girl is the last exile from the old Matrix. She represents the true church, or overcomer, or the first fruits of the harvest, who has been redeemed by the acts of the Messiah, Neo, into a new life. A life filled with peace and hope. The Oracle represents the legislative character of the Matrix, or the controllers of this world, which establishes the mind and the plan of its activities. The architect of the Matrix represents the executive character of the Matrix, which carries out the plan of the Matrix. He is reactive and not proactive. The final scene of Matrix Revolution is not an ending, it is a beginning. It presents an opportunity. The architect makes a snide remark to the Oracle about whether she is happy that she got her way in helping Neo bring about a peace between the Matrix and the people of Zion. The Oracle replies that she is happy. The architect then asks if she was not afraid of the consequences of her actions. She replies that all acts taken to secure honor face great risks. The architect then asks the Oracle how long she believes that the peace will last. She replies, as long as they can keep the peace. I am reminded about this nation in 1787, when the Founding Fathers came out of the Constitutional Convention after proposing the Constitution of the United States as a foundational document of government. A woman asked them, "What kind of government have you given us?" The response was, "A republic, if you can keep it." The Constitutional Convention was not an end, it was a beginning. A republic is built on a non-commercial foundation where the people remain in honor and pay their debts at law. A democracy is when the people are in dishonor and the debts cannot be paid. A democracy is a military government constantly at war, like the Civil War, the war in Vietnam, the war on poverty, the war on drugs, Desert Storm, the Bosnian War, the war on terrorists, the Iraq War, etc. Wars that never end. When the people of Zion came out of the Matrix after Neo's redemption, the question was, how long could the world remain at peace? The question might as well have been, how long can the people of Zion live in a newly created republic that was provided for them? The answer was, as long as they could keep it. Do they understand what was provided for them? Do they understand that if they break the peace and go back to war, that their republic will be destroyed? Do they understand that if they do not pay their debts, they cannot live in a republic? Probably not. It didn't take the American colonies very long to destroy their republic and be placed under a democracy, or the rule of the Matrix. The trilogy of the Matrix is basically a history of the United States of America told backwards. The people of the United States were redeemed in 1787. They were given a republic if they could keep it. Today they are enslaved in a democracy without commercial liberties. The end of the Matrix trilogy existed in 1787. The beginning of the Matrix trilogy exists today. The story is told backwards. To unwind the destruction of the acts of the people requires a redemption from the acts that actually got them there. The end is in sorts a beginning, for all of history repeats itself, and man is usually destined to repeat the mistakes of history over and over again. If you were one of the critics that suggested that the special effects in the movie and the action was superb, but the stupid and mindless verbal gymnastics of the philosophical discussions between the leading characters was nonsense and unintelligible, then please take the blue pill and go back to sleep. You are just getting in the way of reality and you are preventing the solution. On the other hand, if you believe that the resolution of the problem came as a result of military victory and not as a result of non-commercial service by one who loved his brother, then you probably believe that the title for the third movie, Revolution, deals with war and protest, instead of dealing with a revolving revolution or a turning over of your mental concept to go to peace as a means of acceptance and working with the enemy to end the war, instead of working against or rebelling against the enemy and continuing the war. Freedom is the result of the fruits of acceptance, negotiation, and settlement by consent of the parties, a contract, and never as a result of victory of war. Freedom is never without cost, but freedom is not purchased with money. It is won on the field of honor, not battle. Your enemy is not your enemy. Your enemy is the other side of you, your alter ego, your man of flesh who consumes and does not serve. Zion should be the private side, or the man of good. The man of flesh is the public side. You do not kill the man of flesh by warring against him. The man of flesh dies when the man of the spirit takes over by service. See the pattern set forth in Genesis 32. Okay. Some miscellaneous notes on the Matrix. The Merovingian is the equivalent of the Secretary of State in today's governmental society. He has all authority over foreigners who interface with this world. Neo did not seek a fight with anyone in the Matrix, especially the Merovingian. Neo had peace within the Matrix, aka Babylon. Neo had adversaries in his own camp of the people of Zion and in Agent Smith. Neo served for love, not for remuneration. Smith, the name, means a commercial tradesman who sells himself for money in a profession. Neo redeemed the people of Zion, not with money to buy their liberty, out of love, service, and duty, not even at the request of the people of Zion. No one asked him to do it. Smith's purpose was to kill everything living. He was the king over a realm of death. Smith would first kill all the people in the city of Zion. Then Smith would kill all the people lodged in the cocoons in the Matrix. This would destroy the machine world, which could not exist without the people's energy. Morpheus sensed the turn in the tide of the battle with the machines in the city of Zion before the war was officially over. He physically threw down his weapons and emerged from his protective surroundings when he saw the sentinels hesitate in their attack. He sensed that Neo had brought about the peace that had been hoped for. The train man was the commercial transportation link between this world and the world. The train man was controlled by the Merovingian, the Secretary of State, that approved all foreign commerce, or the movement of property and persons from the realm of the Matrix to the world of the people of Zion. The train station was described as nowhere. It was between two worlds. Neo travels to the machine world, or the machine city, to confront the machine leaders for a remedy in a vessel called the Logos, or the Word. And the Word became flesh to fulfill the job of redemption. Respectfully submitted for your edification and consideration, Jack Smith. Note: Neo came to understand what he had to do to stop the war. He went to the machine world and was asked what he wanted. Neo replied, peace. Neo then made an agreement with the machine world that if the machine world would plug him back into the Matrix, Neo would go fight Agent Smith. When he and Agent Smith were both at their lowest point, the machine world could unplug their programs and destroy them both. This would destroy both the threat and the takeover by the Agent Smiths. But in the agreement Neo made with the machine world, he said, if you agree, you must let anybody go free who wants to leave the Matrix. The machine world agreed. Neo went to establish peace by agreement, not by going to war. Each accepts for value and honor, and discharge all fines, fees, taxes, judgments, debts, criminal charges, etc. And now understand, that's just business. And that's the end of the third movie review. Thank you so much for watching. I'm glad I finally got that accomplished. And in my opinion, now that we've gotten that tackled, it's gonna get real juicy. We're gonna study over the history, and it goes into such fascinating detail on things that maybe is just a refresher course for some of you. Maybe it's the first time you're ever hearing it. So I'm looking forward to the next series of videos. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. Let me know what you think. Bye.